Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another question and answer episode. Thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. Back when I hit 4,000 subscribers, I promised that I would make another one of these specials once I hit 10,000. And here we are after 1 year of hard work and after 1 year of having fun with this propaganda. We made it to 10,000. So, guys, thank you so much for your support and thank you for helping me grow the channel to this size. It's such a privilege working for you. And yeah, today we have a lot of cool questions by my viewers, by Instagram followers, and by Patreon. So I'm gonna be answering as many as possible. If I couldn't get to your specific question, please forgive me. But I did try to get to as many as possible. And I won't be showing too many visuals in this video, so you can even listen to it as a podcast and you won't miss out on too much. Yeah, so you can do the laundry, you can go for a walk. I'm gonna try to be as thorough as possible with my answers and hopefully you get to know me a little better. So let's get to it. First up, we have my questions by my beautiful Patreons. And the first one is, what started your wake up process and what was it that pushed you over the line to make you leave? Well, I'll try to keep it brief because I want to make a video of my complete waking up story one day because there's a lot of nuance to it. But basically, what started my journey out of the religion was travel. I went to Thailand to serve, well, we call it where the need is greater, to serve. I was just a publisher, but to get to know the foreign ministry, the Thai ministry. So that was my first experience abroad. And being in Thailand opened up my mind to other ways of life. That country is mostly Buddhist. So I got to see Buddhist people, and people in Thailand are very kind. They're very hospitable. I mean, like people in most parts of the world, but they don't really have a concept of God in the way we view him, And this really shook my mind because I saw that people that had no affiliations with Christianity were capable of being kind individuals. And this really went against my indoctrination, which taught me that if you weren't serving Jehovah, you would be, kind of a bad person. And I saw firsthand that this was not the case. So that was the first thing that helped me to wake up, being exposing myself to other cultures. And ironically, it was the Watchtower itself that opened up my mind to other cultures. It's funny how things work out. Another major factor in my waking up process was studying history and archaeology. The Watchtower has a very fundamentalist view of history and very erroneous. It's silly even that humanity has only been here 6,000 years, which is not the case. So after I started learning more about, evidence of human habitation older than 6,000 years, well, that really started to make me think. Well, I try to ignore the evidence and kind of just brush it to the side. It came to the point that I could simply not deny that humans existed before the creation of Adam. And eventually I also learned about Jerusalem not falling in 607, but falling 20 years before. 20 years after. And yeah, that really destroyed my faith in the 1914 doctrine. So it was a lot of little things, Also learning more about biology, learning about how evolution actually works, because the Watchtower always paints a very strawman version of evolution, because they can't actually rebut it with evidence, so they have to distort it and present it falsely. So once I learned actual biology, that really helped me to understand that, hey, we weren't created 6,000 years ago, and we definitely evolved from other primates, from earlier versions of humans. That's what the evidence tells us, and I could not sustain my faith any longer. But I remember very clearly the one thing that pushed me over the edge of my faith was this mammoth cave painting from Europe, I believe, somewhere in France or somewhere around there in Central Europe. And there was this mammoth cave painting, right? And we know from the fossil evidence that mammoths went extinct around 10,000 years ago in the mainland, in Europe and North America. And they only survived in Wrangel Island. It's a very small island in the north. So I started thinking to myself, hey, how come humans painted mammoths if humans are only 6,000 years old? how come we have a mammoth painting if mammoths went extinct 10,000 years ago? So it was a mammoth painting that helped me to see, wow, I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong on so many things, and it started my deconstruction. As I said, hopefully I can share my waking up story someday with you, because there's so much more to it. But yeah, those were some of the most basic factors that helped me to leave the religion. Now, next question by this wonderful supporter that actually shared a really cool fan art with me, but I haven't shared it. It's this Caleb showing a panda plushie to her mom instead of the Sparlock toy. So thank you, Tabasco, for sharing that with me. And your question is, what kinds of media were you allowed to consume as a JW? Which were forbidden? I mean, it varies from family to family. There's not, Watchtower doesn't release like a explicit list of things to avoid. They don't tell you like, oh, you can't watch Harry Potter, or you can't play Dungeons and Dragons, but it varies depending on your family. For example, my uncle never allowed his kids to play Pokemon because in Spanish, in the Mexican culture, they thought it had to do with demons, because Pokemon, it sounds like demon, Pokemon, demon. What? I mean, it's complete nonsense, because Pokemon actually means pocket monsters. But yeah, it was just a very superstitious situation in a lot of households. But in my case, my parents never, they never told me like, oh, you can't watch this or this. It was just, I guess, no rated R movies, or of course no sexual explicit content, just those things. But I mean, that's with any reasonable household. We never like experienced like a ban on specific things. But yeah, there's JW families that ban Pokemon. Harry Potter's the big one. Some even ban like Star Wars. It's not that common, but it happens. So yeah, it goes from family to family. Now, a question from Queen of Flatulence. Lovely username. Have you ever had nightmares about the JW beliefs? I personally had some nightmares about angels shooting me with bows and arrows for a while when I woke up. That sounds terrifying, but no, I've never had nightmares about the religion. I don't think so. A Clay SR asks, Panda, do you have a favorite food? It's hard to choose. I love Mexican food. I know that's being biased, but come on, we have excellent food. I also really love Thai food, of course. It's very spicy, very savory, very healthy. And I love Lebanese food. Lebanon has the best food in the Middle East. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Falafel with hummus, kibbeh, and all the tabbouleh that they serve. Oh my god, shawarma, and the yogurt, the sweets. Lebanon, I love you, Lebanon. And Middle Eastern food in general is top notch. If you haven't tried it, come on, you need to try it. So thank you. So these were some questions from my Patreons. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. As always, guys, I couldn't do this without you. I love you guys. Huge kisses to you. Now we have some questions from Instagram. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, what are you waiting for? I post a lot of shitty memes on there, so you don't want to miss out on the fun, do you? Go follow me there. Where are you from? Is Spanish your second or first language? So I live in Texas. I told you the city I live in before. I'm not going to repeat it. But my parents are from Mexico, so I'm Mexican American. I was born here in America. But my first language is Spanish. If you weren't able to tell, sometimes my accent shows, especially with my B's. In Spanish, we only pronounce B, but in English we pronounce B and V. So sometimes I don't differentiate. I can't differentiate the sounds. But yeah, I'm pretty good at English. I started English very early in life, but definitely Spanish is my first language. I can also speak decent Portuguese, so sometimes you're gonna be hearing me speak some Portuguese. I love it, but yeah, I'm definitely better at Spanish for sure. Are you a furry? No, I'm not a furry actually. Nothing against furries, is not my thing, but yeah, I've never been interested in the fur fandom, Next question. Do you participate in the shame of wearing tight pants? No, I don't like tight pants because they don't look good on me. Not because I think they're made by homosexuals, like Tony Morris said. So yeah, it's just not my style. But hey, if you like wearing tight pants, power to you. Would you like to make a video collab with me after leaving the cult? Yeah, I'm always down for collabs. I haven't made a collab with anyone, I believe, but there's several people I would be down to make collabs with. The problem is that I can't be showing my face yet, so it would be kind of awkward to do interviews and, you know, showing the other person's face but not my own. Hopefully I can change that one day, but at the moment it's a little bit hard. But if you want to do a collab, please send me an email and maybe we can get to it. I can't promise anything, but I'm down for the idea. Next question. Do you think you will ever do a face reveal? The only reason I don't show my face on the channel is because of my parents, because they don't know that I have this channel. It's a secret from my family, actually. So I don't want to, you know, upset them. I think it would really shatter their hearts if they knew I became a full-blown apostate and an apostate on YouTube as well. So they're the only reasons I don't show my face. But hopefully one day I can, or I find more reasons to show my face to face that risk. But I don't see myself showing my face anytime soon. But hopefully that changes, because I do want to, like I said, I do want to start doing interviews and doing more fun little projects. Like I have a lot of series in my head, but they require for me to show myself, you know, and it's just not possible at the moment. But yeah, hopefully one day. Next question. Do you think there is a chance the org could have a major fallout? No, unless there's a direct scandal coming from Bethel. We're talking about governing body member level of scandal. So if it turns out like a governing body member is pedo or something like that, it has to be huge. But aside from that, this religion is just gonna die a very, very slow death. It's gonna be a slow burn. So yeah, I don't think so. It's not gonna be anything dramatic. It's gonna be a very pathetic, sad death to this cult. Now we have some questions from my followers on YouTube. What's your opinion on other Exjw YouTube channels? Kevin McCree is still unrivaled. Yeah, I agree. Kevin McCree is still one of the best Exjw channels, and he hasn't posted in a while. In case you don't know who he is, he makes these Lego stop motion animations, like parodies of the Watchtower life, and they have aged perfectly. Like, it's just such a cool way to animate, and it takes forever too. So my huge respects for Kevin McCree. Kevin McCree, if you're listening to this, reach out to me. Hopefully we can talk or something. But yeah, aside from that, well, there's a lot of channels I really enjoy. I love XGW Caleb. I love Altworldly, Jake from Altworldly. I think his sense of humor it just hits the right spots. I love his way of writing. He's really good at doing scripts, and the way he formats his videos is excellent. It feels like a video essay, more of that. So yeah, great guy. Self-aware NPC. She's taking a break at the moment, but I think her videos are top notch. She has a way to dissect the propaganda. It's just so perfectly, and she does her research and just brings out these crazy quotations from the past, which just incriminate Watchtower. She doesn't even have to say anything. She just shows the quotations, and they're awful. So those three are great. Of course, Wally from JW Thoughts is pretty good. Who else? The Falling Tower, Darth Magog. Of course, Harrison from The Truth Hurts. His channel is great, but he's also taking a break. I mean, why do some of the best creators have to take breaks? Why? How dare you? How dare you have a personal life to attend to? And yeah, I mean, I have more channels I enjoy. I can't mention them all, but those are some of my favorites. Yeah, I really like the direction the XJW community is going. I love seeing people like Kevin McCree, you know, do animations and podcasts, all different types of media. There's so many ways to get creative in this topic. I mean, anyone can just sit in front of a camera and make a video, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's great seeing creators think outside the box and just do something spectacular about the Exjw experience. Would you rather be stuck on a deserted island with Tony Morris or Stephen Lett? I love this question so much that I shared it on my YouTube channel as well. And most people voted Tony Morris, and I would vote that as well because Tony Morris, yeah, he was a pretty awful cult leader that ruined thousands of lives. But at the same time, he gave me the impression that he was just to the point. He seemed very honest about his beliefs, you know. He wasn't sugarcoating anything. And I think outside of the religion, he would actually be a pretty chill dude to hang out with, you know. And I mean, he has actual life experiences. You know, he went to war in Vietnam. He started raising a family outside the religion. So he's not as sheltered as all the other Watchtower drones who were raised, most of them, who were raised in the religion. Yeah, so I would vote Tony Morris, and he would probably have the magical powers to just create booze out of anything. He would be fermenting coconuts and shit. So yeah, it would definitely be a better time. If I was stuck in a deserted island with Stephen Lett or David Splane, I would immediately punch them in the face. And if I was stuck with Mark Sanderson, I mean, he would just take all the food for himself, and I would have to resort to cannibalism if I wanted to survive with him. So yeah, fascinating question. Let me know, if you were stuck in a deserted island with a governing body member, who would you choose to be your island buddy? Are there aspects of being a Jehovah's Witness that you miss? Not really, no. Because there's nothing that the religion offers you that you can't find anywhere else, you know? The only thing I would say is that being a witness, you have access to a huge network of people abroad. And since I love traveling, that would be really convenient, you know, to, oh yeah, I have this contact in this country and they hook you up. So that's more like a perk, you know, it's not like a great thing, like, oh wow, you can find communities outside the religion. But yeah, that was definitely convenient. So that would be the only thing that would be like, oh, you know, I wish I had that outside. But aside from that, you know, what does this religion offer you that you can't find anywhere else? There's nothing. You can find peace, you can find community, you can find purpose, you can find something to look forward to outside the religion. So yeah, no, I definitely don't miss it. And I definitely don't miss the cognitive dissonance that comes with being part of the religion. It's the worst. Next question. Do you still struggle to remove feelings of immortality? No. After leaving the faith, I pretty much just immediately accepted that I was gonna die one day. Watchtower tries to paint death as something unnatural, and you'll hear that a lot in funerals. Like, oh yeah, death is the most unnatural thing there is because Jehovah put eternity into our hearts. But that's complete nonsense. Death is the most natural thing that there is. Everything that lives must eventually die, and that's just a part of life. You know, we just have a limited amount of time on this earth, and we have to make the best use of it. There's no reason to be depressed about it. Yeah, you know, it sucks when people die early or when children die. That's terrible. But if you're able to live a long, decent life, hey, that's a win. You know, it's what you get. It's what we have. And when I left the faith, I never really went through like a nihilist, bitter atheist phase, to be honest. Yeah, sometimes I would get feelings like, oh, what's the point? Optimistic nihilism, like, yeah, nothing matters, but that's okay. You know, we gotta be happy with what we have. It's okay. And the idea of living forever actually sounds pretty terrifying by now. Why would you want to live like forever? Like, yeah, would I like to live a couple hundred more years? I would, personally, but not forever. That sounds terrifying. Why did you choose a red panda? I just thought having a mascot for the channel would be cute. I mean, and especially since I couldn't show my face, I wanted to, make a persona. So no, I'm not a furry, but I do like animals, and pandas have become like an inside joke in the Exjw community, because in paradise we're gonna be eating watermelons and petting pandas. But I chose a red panda, so because, I mean, the black and white pandas are much more common and they get old, so I wanted to do something a bit different. I think the red panda is cuter and they kind of look like raccoons, and I like raccoons. Do you still believe any of the Bible passages? I mean, that's a deep question. If what you mean is how much of the Bible I believe to be true, look, the Bible is a huge book. Some of it is pure myth. What do I mean by myth? Well, things that are clearly allegories and never happened, like Adam and Eve, Noah's flood, the Tower of Babel, the Exodus. Those things never happened as they're described in the Bible. There's no way. We know they did not happen because we have the evidence saying otherwise. So we have to read those passages as allegory, because if we read them 100% literally, we just kind of make a fool out of ourselves. And I try to say this with the most respect possible. These things did not happen. It's just the truth. There's things in the Bible that are legendary. What do I mean by legendary? Yeah, it's a combination of history and myth. For example, all the stories of the kings, King David, King Solomon, those kings probably existed. We do have evidence of David existing in some way, but not in the way the Bible describes, so they were probably much smaller than the Bible describes them in terms of power. So the Bible is a combination of myths and historical facts, because you do have history in it. You do have a pretty reliable account of the kings of Israel, for example. But it's just a combination of things, The Gospels have some history to them as well, but also some clearly fictional accounts or mythological accounts, which are to be taken by faith alone. So yeah, do I think the Bible is the inerrant word of God? No. Do I think it's the word of God in any sense? Also no. But I do respect anyone who acknowledges that the Bible contradicts itself and still finds a way to, get benefit from the Bible, because there's some things you can gain benefit from. But we just gotta acknowledge that the Bible does have contradictions, and it does contain things that are not true. So we have to find a way to reread these stories and get a moral lesson out of them, instead of just stubbornly insisting that every story in the Bible is true, because that's simply not the case. That's just my take on the Bible. I do love studying the Bible. It's such a fascinating book. It's part of our history, but yeah, it's not 100% true, and I hope you have come to that same realization. It's not 100% factual. Has any of your family come out, or are they still in the cult? I mean, I have some cousins that left, but pretty much my immediate family are still in. I mean, I can't share too many details, but yeah, they're still in. Have you ever watched Dark Matter 2525 on YouTube? Yeah, awesome channel. His takes on the biblical stories are so good, so funny. If you haven't seen his stuff, I totally recommend it. He's just a classic in the atheist community. It's such great videos. How long ago have you been out of the JW? Were you a PMO first? I've been out of the religion for a little more than 2 years now. I did not become PMO first because since I woke up during the pandemic and I was traveling at the moment in Central America, and we were still doing Zoom meetings at that point, I just kind of stopped attending Zoom meetings. So I think my fate was much easier because of that. But yeah, I pretty much stopped attending meetings the moment I stopped believing. Which Bethelite in the dramas has the best comedic timing? I mean, I don't know if he counts, but I think Gary Bro in the Pillowgate videos is hilarious and unintentionally hilarious. The way he stares into your eyes and says like, oh, if you masturbate in front of your buddy and your Bethel dorm, that's not technically porneia, immorality. It just cracks me up. I can't believe Watchtower made those videos.
God's love book explains that masturbation is the stroking or rubbing of the genital organs, commonly resulting in an orgasm.
Next question. Did you have problems with your sex life after leaving the cult? Oh, okay, now we're talking about sex. I know that's what you came for. So what I'm going to tell you comes from the experience of a dude. I don't know if ladies have similar or different experience with sexual repression. So if you are a lady in the comments, please let me know how was your experience leaving this cult. But yeah, pretty much, I mean, my sex life is good. I didn't have too many problems. The only thing is that since you're a JW, you don't do a lot of dating usually. So once you leave the religion, you have a late start in the dating scene. You know, it's like you miss out on that high school dating scene that teaches you a lot. So I missed out on that phase of life, which is fine. I mean, people that are not JWs also miss out on that. You have to start learning, you know, how to treat women properly and how to date properly. I mean, doesn't mean that you just come out a scumbag, you know, but you have to relearn social norms on what's acceptable, because like the JW version of dating is just so distorted and strict. And I mean, I think most men realize this after they leave the religion, but it's just when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're always taught that women in the world are out there to seduce you, to make you sin. And you have this very twisted notion in your head that women are just gonna be easy, and you know they're gonna be like very immoral in a way. But the reality is that that's not the case. You know, most people don't really have sex that often. It's just the truth, and it's a good thing. You know, it's like you have to learn how to respect people and not view them as temptations. It's kind of hard to put it into words, but the image that Watchtower paints of the world is very, very different from the actual world, you know? Are there people that are like very easy and they just kind of sleep with anyone? Yeah, there are some people like that, and I don't judge them. There's not a problem with that. But you will realize once you leave the religion that the vast majority of people are just normal people, and they like relationships and they're kind people, and you have to relearn pretty much everything about dating. So that's the thing. I mean, we could talk about this in another video if you want, but yeah, I mean, sexual repression is a very real thing in the JW world. It doesn't give you an excuse to be a douchebag or to do anything wrong, but you do have to face it once you leave the religion and kind of relearn how to, how to date and how to treat women or men. So yeah, it's definitely pretty tough, but right now everything's going good for me, and I hope things are going great for you as well. Next question. What does being a spiritual person mean to you? Do you consider yourself one? Oh, I think the word spiritual is just so broad that it kind of loses any significant meaning. Like, being spiritual is different to everyone, you know? The JW version of spirituality is knocking on doors and going to the meetings and a lot of ritual involved. And a lot of religions view spirituality as something more innate that you have to self-reflect. And I kind of view it like that. Like, spirituality is dealing with the inner person that you are, like your soul, your heart, whatever you want to call it. So it's self-reflection. Anytime you self-reflect, anytime you focus on your inner self, I think that's a way to be spiritual. So you can be an atheist but also be spiritual. Would I consider myself a spiritual person? At times. So I don't really pray anymore. I don't believe in spirits or the supernatural because religion just kind of ruined that for me. But I do have moments of self-reflection like any other human, and I think those are moments of spirituality. And even when you catch yourself feeling in awe in nature, especially when you're out in nature and you see something so beautiful like a beautiful sunset or a beautiful mountain, I think that's just a very spiritual experience, you know? And that's something that any human can have access to. Maybe you disagree with me on this. I mean, like I said, spiritual is a very broad word. It can mean so many things, but that's my view on it. I am a spiritual person from time to time. Next question. Can Jesus and the angel Michael be in the same room at the same time? According to Jehovah's Witnesses, no. And this is one of the silliest JW teachings there is, because nowhere in the Bible is the angel Michael associated with Jesus. And JWs are willing to die on this rock even though it has no actual effect on their theology. So yeah, definitely a silly belief, and it's only exclusive to JWs, I believe. What is your opinion on trying to wake up an elderly JW? Let them initiate the conversation. I don't know, there's so many ethical questions to that. You don't want to just bombard an elderly person with questions, because, you know, at that point it's like, they're almost dead. Should you tell them that their whole life is a lie? I don't know. I have had conversations with more elderly people about the faith, and I have been honest with them. But it was them who initiated the conversation, and they kept asking me questions, and so I responded. But I didn't just go to them directly and be like, hey, your entire life was a lie. You're not gonna live forever, because, I mean, that can be pretty cruel. Depends on the situation. So always be willing to talk to people if they ask you, but never bombard them with everything. You know, that's just not kind. Next question. Where do you see the organization in 20 years? I think there's only two paths for this religion going forward. It either becomes more extreme and more closed off to the outside world, or it becomes more open and goes mainstream. And I think the latter is what's happening. I think this religion is going mainstream. Why do I say this? Because we saw in the annual meeting that the governing body members are focusing more on not being dogmatic and opening up the doors of salvation to more people. So that signals, doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but it signals to a direction where this religion becomes more mainstream. And also the pressure from the governments in regards to shunning and the blood policy will force this religion to take these harsh decisions. Are we gonna force shunning, or are we gonna force the blood prohibition? And it's gonna take a few years, but I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that Watchtower will eventually have to make the blood policy and the shunning policy a conscious matter. So eventually I think Jehovah's Witnesses will be allowed to take blood based on their conscience. I mean, they're already allowed to take blood fractions, so the next logical step is for them to be able to take whole blood, and they would probably take a couple of years or even decades for it to become actually accepted, you know. But yeah, I think this religion is going mainstream. It doesn't mean it's gonna improve or it's gonna grow in numbers. I think it's way too late for that because we have the internet. But it's gonna, if it goes mainstream, it will, you know, save itself from complete decline. So it's gonna be interesting. Too bad I'm not actually a prophet. Now Dark Magog asks a question. He has some great videos on Caleb and Sophia. He brings in Commander Fives, which is this child psychologist, I believe. You know, he's a professional with child development, and he has some great videos. Go check them out. He asked this question: is there a favorite media franchise that helped you during the wake up process? Not really in the sense like, oh, Star Wars helped me in my waking up process, or no, not really. There were some YouTube channels that really helped me. I already mentioned Dark Matter 2525. There's also Theremin Trees. Theremin Trees is the best channel I could recommend to you, because he is an actual psychologist who talks about religious trauma and religious indoctrination, and he just goes hard on these on everything: Islam, Christianity. He just dismantles the whole ideologies and shows you why they're toxic. He's one of my favorite YouTube channels. Please check him out. Another one is Non-Stamp Collector. He has some wonderful videos, really like Microsoft Paint art style, really simple, but oh my god, his videos are great. Please check him out. If you had a certain media franchise that helped you out, please let me know in the comments below. And we have a final question, and someone is asking top 5 pro tips for getting into the YouTube/social media scene. Excellent question. And I don't have that much experience yet. I've only been on YouTube for like a little more than a year. But the best advice I can give you so far is be ready to work your ass off. If you're gonna start a YouTube channel or any other project on social media, be ready to pour your soul into it. I've spent countless hours watching this propaganda, editing it, writing scripts, recording the voiceovers. It takes forever, but it's super worth it because we built this community over the past year, and it's wonderful. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work. Also, you gotta think outside the box. Anyone can sit down in front of a microphone and start speaking and upload it to YouTube. There's nothing wrong with that. There's people that do it that are just great and they amass a lot of followers, but you want your work to be recognizable. You want your work to be memorable, to people, to offer them something different. So just think of something you can do that's different from everyone else that's creating content, and hopefully you can provide them something meaningful. The beautiful thing is that there are no rules, so you can be as creative as possible, and it either pays off or it just completely fails. You never know with the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, just think outside the box. Also focus on your thumbnails. This is something I see all the time. People uploading videos and they put a thumbnail with like 30 words on it. Stop doing this, please. Your thumbnails should be clean, simple, to the point, catch the attention of people. You don't have to be doing clickbait all the time, but please don't upload videos with thousands of words in the thumbnail. That looks terrible. Research as much as possible. Remember that when you make videos, these are gonna be up for everyone to see, so you want your information to be as strong, as factual as possible. You will still make mistakes every now and then, and people will correct you, so always thank the people that correct your mistakes because it helps you get better. Just try to make good videos or a good content. Be proud of your work because it's hard work, but it always pays off. And also my last advice would be to expand your social media outreach. Maybe you start on YouTube, you can do an Instagram or vice versa. You can do TikTok, you can do Facebook. I don't know, do people still use Facebook? Just get creative. There's so many ways to expand so more people get to see your channel in other means. So yeah, good luck if you're starting your Exjw channel or thinking about doing that. Just remember, it's gonna take a lot of hard work, but you might make it big. That's the beautiful thing about YouTube, is you never know how the algorithm works. Sometimes you make a video which you say, oh, this is gonna be a popular video, and it just gets like 5,000 views. But you can make a video like, this one's gonna be alright, and it gets like 50,000. You never know. But yeah, if you start on it, good luck. Good luck. Just keep working hard with that and with any project you have going on in your life. So those were all the questions. A lot of people asked me to share my waking up story, and I shared with you just a little bit of it. I will make my waking up story one day, but I would love to do it showing you my face. That's my goal. And so maybe that's a couple years away. I don't know, but I mean, I've dropped a few tidbits here and there. I will post it one day, I promise. But thank you for showing interest in knowing about my life, and hopefully you got to know me a little better. And hopefully you can share your thoughts on the comments below on these questions about, waking up and anything that I asked you. Please share it with us. We love hearing your comments. And again, sorry I couldn't get to every single question. There were a lot of questions, but I try to get to as many as possible. And I hope you enjoyed this little segment. Next question and answer special is gonna be on 20,000 subscribers. It might take us a while, but we'll get there eventually. Guys, I can't thank you enough. It's been so fun this past year. I can't thank you to every subscriber, every people that comment, especially to the people that support me financially. Guys, if it wasn't for my Patreons and my YouTube channel members, I tell you, I would not be putting videos as often, so thank you so much for everything, and I'll catch you on the next video. Stay awesome, have a wonderful day, and stay away from the tower.
Bah. Goodbye, little sheep.